Hi everyone and welcome back. Today is Tuesday, January 13th, 2009, and my name is Mimi. If you've been following along with me so far, you know that I am working my way through an Origami of the Day calendar that I was given as a gift this holiday season. And today we're going to be folding a model of a bathing elephant. This is a little different than the elephant that we did last week, and I'll admit that while at first glance it seemed like it was going to be pretty simple, there were a few folds that tricked me up a bit. And I think primarily because I'm still trying to decipher the shorthand that they use to give you the instructions on the calendar and try to make sure that I was doing it the way that they wanted me to do it. It was a little confusing, but what I ended up with looks like the picture in the calendar, so we're going to go with this. I chose a piece of gray paper to work on today since we are doing an elephant. If you have a piece of gray paper and likewise want to fold along with me, why don't you see if you can find that, and then we can get started. Okay, so this week there seems to be a theme in terms of how we start off, and today is no exception. You're going to start off with your paper with the white page or the white part facing toward you and fold in half along the diagonal like so to create the guideline that you'll be using. And again, just like we did in yesterday's model, you're going to make your first two folds that go into that guideline. So first one flap into the guideline and then a second flap into the guideline until you have something that looks like this. Next, you'll be taking your paper and folding it in on itself as we have in the past, and then flipping it around so that you end up with it set up like this. Now this next fold is the one that tripped me up a little bit. I at first wasn't quite sure if they wanted me to do the fold in just one dimension or on both sides, but it does have a little symbol that indicates that you're supposed to repeat this on the opposite side just as you did on the first side. So that's what I did, and you're using variations on those folds that we learned over the weekend, the inside and outside reverse folds. So I used the same technique that we had used on the weekend and created myself some guideline folds first, and I found that it made it a little easier. And I'll admit that I had to finagle this a bit to get it to look and be exactly as I wanted it. It didn't come out perfect the very first time, so you may find yourself zhuzhing it in one direction or the other. What you're going to do, and what I did, was made two guideline folds. The ultimate objective is that you're going to get the piece to look basically like that. The caveat being that if you're going to do this as the directions say, so that you've done the same thing on both sides, it's a little trickier than just folding it over like that, because you have to get the one edge to fold over and then flip it around and get the other edge to fold over. So what I did was first did it a fold like this and really press down on that to give it, oh my goodness, shadow. All right. Okay. Alrighty then. Okay, so what I did, as I was saying before we were interrupted, was made a really strong fold in one direction and then flipped it around and did the same thing on the other side. Really using, in this case, my fingernails to make these folds pretty strong. And based on the picture, I noticed this part here, this is really what's going to turn into, that's really the elephant ear. So you want to make sure that there's enough sort of flailed back here to be representative of the ear. Once you've done that, then you're reproducing those folds that we saw over the weekend and kind of opening it up. See if I can do this in front of here so you can see what I did. Opening it up and then pushing it back so that it's doing this on both sides. And after you've made those extra folds, it made it much easier so that I could get it where it was folded back on both sides like that. But as I said, this took a little bit of finagling to get it so that it came out smoothly. It wasn't crunched up here. You want to make sure that there's enough of a little bit of a straight part here to represent the front of the body. It's just, this is how it looks in the picture. So it seems simpler now that I'm just showing it to you, but take my word for it, it took me a little bit to get it rocking and rolling. So you'll end up then, when all is said and done, with a piece that looks like this, and it would be the same whichever direction you're looking at. So this next fold is one of those outside reverse folds, and again I made guideline folds first to make it easier on myself. You're doing a bend in the paper right here. This is in effect what the trunk, and you're creating the bend in the elephant's trunk as if he were putting his trunk up over his head and spraying his back, hence the bathing elephant concept. So once you've done the fold in the trunk, then you're going to do a outside reverse fold. So you're going to pick this up, and I know this is difficult to do without my fingers getting in the way, and you got to open kind of the whole thing up a little bit to make it happen, but you're folding this part backwards. See what I did? So it was down like this, and then I flipped it up and flopped it over and folded it backwards. So then you're at this point. From this point, you're going to take the trunk piece and make a fold over like so. So here's your elephant. It's folded over like so. And the last little bit, this little tip, you're going to fold it back so that it's blunt. So it looks like the edge of a trunk. Last little bit, as in the past, you can go ahead and put an eye on your elephant. This is what the picture looks like, so if we get this far, we did it. Alright, so that's all I have for you today. Tomorrow we'll be building on the same theme, sort of starting out with the same initial types of folds, but then we'll be creating a pelican. And that one looks a little interesting, so I will see you then. Happy folding, don't get frustrated, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Don't drink my drink. Come on. Come on. What did you get into? Shadow, do not drink my drink. Come on. Move. Stop. What you're going to do in order to make this happen is create the